In today's video, we are talking about the three most common barriers that prevent people from creating change. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Master the Mind. And like I said, so today we're talking about three most common barriers that people have when it comes to creating change, that when it comes to creating lasting change. What are the barriers that we have? So let's get straight into it. I want to keep this short and sweet. So number one. The first barrier that many of us have with regard to creating change is we have something as a should versus a must. Like, have you ever said to yourself, you know what, I should go in, I should call this person, and then do you ever do it? Right? I should do this, I should do that. Like, we have so many shoulds in our lives, we just should all over our lives, right? And the reality is, when we move from a should to a must, that is when we make change happen, when something becomes hugely important to us. Now, just to give you an idea, for example, for myself, today we've decided to cut sugar completely. For a while, I was like, you know what, I should. But then I decided, okay, I have to make this a must. How do I make this a must? So yesterday I sat down and I put on a film called That Sugar Film, which I'd known about, I just never watched before. And so that I would convince myself that, okay, now's the time that I have to make this change. Like, I had a few reasons, but I wanted to stack up the reasons so that it wasn't just a, you know what, I should. It was like, I must do this. I've got to do it. I have to do it. Like, it's a must. So, and that's why in your life, and just like in my life, there are areas where you have changed, and there's areas where you haven't changed. And the areas where you have changed, half the time it was important to you, and so you made it happen. Think of something that you achieved despite all the odds. What's the difference? It was so important to you, you had to make it happen. And there's some areas where, you know what, you should, but some little things got in the way, and it was just too much hassle. So when you make it a should, so the first one is, you make it a must. And so the first thing that we got to do, the first obstacle is you can't leave it as something that should. It has to be, this must change. So if you want to correct it, you just sort of say, this must change. You've got to get to a level of belief that this must change. So that's number one. Let's go on to
Number two.
Number two is, we tend to kind of put ownership on things outside of ourselves. You know, like, I'm guilty of this. I was sort of like, you know what, I'll, like, my wife does the cooking, so I'll kind of rely on her, or I'll kind of do this, or my boss needs to treat me better at work, or this. We just put ownership on change outside of ourselves. And the reality is when we just keep everything outside of ourselves and we don't take ownership, we don't say, okay, I have to do this, I have to lead the front, I have to take make the first steps, and then follow. But you've got to take ownership. If people fall in line, if people don't fall in line, if you want to change, you've got to do it, like, make the first step yourself. So it's not we have got to do it all, I must change it. Okay, so the first one is not we or they or you or him or her. It's got to be I must change. All right, so the step number one was going from this must change. Now step number two is going, instead of everybody or this person, that person, I must change it. If it is to be, it is up to me. And so that's number two, taking ownership of the change, like full ownership of the change. That's number two. And then Then
Number three. Number three.
and number three is, how many of you have ever sort of said, you know what, I'm gonna I'm gonna take this, this big decision. I'm gonna make it soon. I've got to do it sometime, or I've got to catch up with these people sometime, or I've got to do this. I'm gonna start working out from tomorrow. I'm going to do this from tomorrow. I'm gonna make this big decision from tomorrow. And here's the challenge: tomorrow never comes. If we keep pushing things till tomorrow, I will do it. Inshallah soon I'm gonna do it. Inshallah tomorrow, or inshallah soon. I'm go one day soon. I hope to do this soon. If we keep pushing and like pushing things out, that time's never gonna come. If you want to make change, you gotta commit to doing it now. So instead of one day, I will change it now. So the three statements ultimately that you'd ideally want to end up with is: number one is this must change. Number two is I must change it. And number three is it must change now. And those are the biggest obstacles. If you can get rid of those obstacles and come up with those three statements and truly believe it, saying that this must change, I must change it, and I must change it now, you have gotten over the biggest obstacles when it comes to making a change. So hopefully you found this very useful and you can apply it in your life. I know that I have to review these things sometimes. I have to go in and say, okay, I'm deciding to quit sugar. Like, number one, I gotta say that this must change, and I have to convince myself that it's not I should do it. It must, and it must happen now, which was number three, and it's gotta be up to me. If it's to be, it's up to me. And so this is what the process that I went through as well. So hopefully you find this useful. I appreciate you all, and I will see you on another episode real soon. Peace out, one love, and I'll see you on another episode soon. Bye for now.